Some dogs survive by being obedient little angels, wagging their tails and following every command like perfect little soldiers. Like this golden retriever over here, who's probably about to fetch a stick for the 847th time today because his human said so. But these 5 breeds, they survive by not giving a single goddamn fuck about your commands, your authority, or your carefully planned training schedule. They simply do whatever the hell they want and hope you'll deal with it. Today we're looking at the 5 most stubborn, rebellious, and absolutely unhinged dog breeds that evolution has cursed us with. Anyways, we'll start this list off with the Dachshund, which is basically a sausage-shaped demon that somehow convinced the world it's cute. Now, before we continue, these videos actually take a lot of time and effort to make, so it would mean the world to me if you could leave a like on the video, as well as maybe commenting your thoughts down below at the end. It truly does help out a lot with the algorithm. Anyways, thanks in advance. The Dachshund, the sausage of destruction. When you look at a Dachshund, you might think, oh, what a cute little wiener dog. But what you're actually looking at is a 4-legged middle finger to everything you thought you knew about dog training. These little bastards were originally bred to hunt badgers, in underground tunnels. Think about that for a second. Someone looked at a badger, one of nature's most unhinged creatures, and said, "You know what we need? A dog crazy enough to chase that thing into a dark hole and fight it to the death." And that's exactly what they got. The Dachshund has retained every single ounce of that "I'll fight anything that breathes" energy, except now they're directing it at your mailman, your vacuum cleaner, and that suspicious-looking leaf that dared to blow across their yard. These dogs have selective hearing that would make a teenager jealous. Call their name? Nothing. Rustle a treat bag from 3 rooms away? They'll teleport through walls. They've mastered the art of looking directly at you while completely ignoring your existence. It's like they're saying, "I hear you, I understand you, and I choose violence." But here's the thing that makes Dachshunds truly special. They have zero concept of their own size. A Dachshund will square up with a Great Dane like they're the same weight class. They'll bark at German Shepherds, chase off delivery trucks, and act like they're personally responsible for defending your entire neighborhood from the apocalypse. Their confidence is so unhinged that it's actually kind of inspiring. The Siberian Husky, the escape artist from hell. We have the Siberian Husky, which is basically what happens when you cross a wolf with a toddler having a permanent temper tantrum. These dogs were bred to run across frozen wastelands for hundreds of miles, and apparently nobody told them that your suburban backyard isn't the Alaskan wilderness. Huskies have turned escaping into an art form. They can dig under fences, climb over walls, and I swear some of them have figured out how to pick locks. There are documented cases of Huskies escaping from their yards, going on multi-day adventures, and then showing up at the local McDonald's like they're just grabbing lunch. One Husky in Alaska literally escaped and joined a sled dog race that he wasn't even entered in. He just saw other dogs running and thought, "Yeah, this looks fun," and finished the entire race. But the real kicker? They'll look you dead in the eye while they're planning their next escape. You'll catch them staring at that weak spot in your fence, and you can literally see the gears turning in their head. They're not just planning to escape. They're planning to escape in the most dramatic way possible. And don't even get me started on their vocal abilities. Huskies don't bark, they argue. They'll have full conversations with you, complete with dramatic pauses and what can only be described as sass. Tell a Husky to get off the couch, and they'll give you a 5-minute lecture on why the couch is actually theirs, and you're just a guest in their house. The Shiba Inu, the Doge of Defiance. The Shiba Inu is basically a cat that got confused and ended up in a dog's body, and they've never quite gotten over the mix-up. These dogs have perfected the art of malicious compliance. They'll technically do what you ask, but in the most passive-aggressive way possible. Ask a Shiba to sit, and they'll sit, but they'll do it while giving you a look that clearly says, "I'm only doing this because I choose to, not because you told me to." They've turned obedience into an insult. It's like they're constantly saying, "Fine, I'll do it, but I want you to know that I think you're an idiot." Shibas have something called the Shiba scream, which is exactly what it sounds like. When they're mildly inconvenienced, and by mildly inconvenienced I mean things like having their nails trimmed or being asked to wear a harness, they'll let out a sound that can only be described as the wail of a banshee having an existential crisis. It's so dramatic that people have made compilation videos of it, and honestly, it never gets old. But here's what makes Shibas truly special. They have an unshakable belief in their own superiority. A Shiba Inu doesn't think they're a dog. They think they're a small, furry emperor who just happens to live in your house. They'll graciously allow you to feed them and clean up after them. But make no mistake, in their mind, you work for them. The Afghan Hound, the supermodel with 0 brain cells. The Afghan Hound is what happens when you breed a dog for looks and completely forget to include intelligence in the package. These dogs are absolutely gorgeous. They look like they should be on the cover of Vogue, but they have the attention span of a goldfish with ADHD. Afghan Hounds have been ranked as one of the least intelligent dog breeds, but I think that's unfair. They're not stupid. They're just operating on a completely different wavelength than the rest of us. It's like they're constantly high on their own fabulousness. You'll call their name, and they'll look at you with this dreamy, far-off expression like they're contemplating the meaning of life or wondering if their hair looks good in this lighting. Training an Afghan Hound is like trying to teach philosophy to a runway model. They'll stare at you with those beautiful empty eyes, and you can practically see the dial-up internet sounds coming from their brain. Sit? What is sit? Is that a new pose for the camera? But here's the thing. Afghan Hounds don't give a shit about your training because they're too busy being absolutely stunning. They figured out that if you're pretty enough, you don't need to be smart. They'll ignore your commands not out of defiance, but because they're genuinely confused about why you're making noise when you could be admiring their magnificent coat instead. These dogs will run straight into glass doors, get confused by their own reflection, and somehow get lost in their own backyard. But they'll do it all while looking like they're about to win Best in Show at Westminster. The Basenji, the silent assassin. And finally, we have the Basenji, which is basically what happens when you take all the attitude of a regular dog and remove their ability to bark. These dogs are known as the barkless dog, but don't let that fool you into thinking they're quiet. They've just found more creative ways to be absolutely unhinged. Basenjis can't bark, but they can yodel, scream, and make sounds that will convince your neighbors that you're harboring some kind of exotic jungle creature. They sound like a mix between a dying whale and a fire alarm having a breakdown. It's honestly more disturbing than regular barking, but the real reason Basenjis don't give a shit is because they're basically cats in dog suits. They're independent, aloof, and have 0 interest in pleasing you. They were bred in Africa to hunt alongside humans, but as partners, not servants. They've never forgotten this, and they'll remind you every single day that they're not your pet, your roommates, and they didn't sign up for this living arrangement. Basenjis are escape artists, problem solvers, and master manipulators. They'll figure out how to open doors, cabinets, and probably your bank account if you're not careful. They're incredibly intelligent, but they use that intelligence exclusively for chaos and mischief. One Basenji owner reported that their dog learned how to turn on the kitchen faucet, not because they were thirsty, but because they enjoyed watching the water bill go up. Another Basenji figured out how to open the refrigerator and would help themselves to midnight snacks, always making sure to leave just enough evidence to let their humans know it was intentional. Here's the thing about all these breeds. They don't give a shit because they weren't bred to give a shit. Each of these dogs was created for a specific job that required independence, problem solving, and a healthy disregard for authority. The Dachshund needed to make split-second decisions while fighting badgers underground. The Husky needed to navigate frozen wastelands without constant human guidance. The Shiba Inu was bred to hunt in mountainous terrain where blind obedience could get you killed. These dogs aren't broken. They're working exactly as intended. The problem is that most of us aren't badger hunters or Arctic explorers. We're just regular people who want a dog that will sit when we say sit and come when we call their name. But these breeds are like, nah, I'm good, and go back to plotting their next act of rebellion. And honestly, there's something kind of beautiful about that level of confidence. These dogs wake up every morning and choose chaos, and they do it with such conviction that you almost have to respect it. They're living their best lives, completely unbothered by your expectations or society's rules. If you're thinking about getting one of these breeds, just remember, you're not getting a pet, you're getting a roommate with 4 legs and 0 respect for your authority. But if you can handle the chaos, the attitude, and the constant feeling that your dog is judging your life choices, you'll have a companion that's absolutely unforgettable. If you enjoyed today's video and want to learn more about these absolutely unhinged dog breeds, make sure to let me know in the comments which breed surprised you the most. And maybe watch this video about cats that also don't give a shit, because apparently not giving a shit is a universal pet trait. See you next time, probably with more animals that have 0 respect for anything.